Hello everyone, welcome back to Matrix Wisdom YouTube channel. Today we will look at what some people believe is the biggest threat to humanity, artificial intelligence. The term artificial intelligence was coined by scientists at the Dartmouth conference 67 years ago when digital computers first appeared in university laboratories. Since then, the world has witnessed a rapid rise in artificial intelligence. The pace at which it has advanced raises concerns about job displacement, privacy, and security. But there could be far bigger problems on the horizon if AI algorithms reach a point of rapid self-improvement. Tech superstar Elon Musk and scientists like Alan Turing, Stuart Russell, and Nick Bostrom have said they think artificial intelligence could destroy humanity. But what do the general public think of AI? Are they concerned or utterly oblivious to this technology? We asked 50 people from various backgrounds to share their opinions on artificial intelligence. We would also love to hear your views in the comment box below. Fasten your seatbelts. Here we go. Why is AI so controversial? Are you concerned about it? Is this technology already out of control?
Why do I think artificial intelligence has been so controversial as of late? I think artificial intelligence, since generally its conception has been quite controversial. You know, you think back to, when would it have been, 1968? 2001: A Space Odyssey, about how a supercomputer, artificial intelligence taking over. You have recent films, you have Ex Machina, you have artificial intelligence with Haley Joel Osment, I think it was, back in the 90s or whenever it was. Great films, but AI has always been some controversy to it. Why we're here, artificial intelligence has always had some controversy to it. Why we're hearing more about it now, I believe, is because, well, technology improves exponentially, right? So little increments, improving, like that. And you're seeing it. A year ago, I say to you, what's ChatGPT? You would be like, what? What's ChatGPT? I've never heard of that. And now you're like, oh, I can get it on my phone and it'll tell me anything I want to know. A year, like that. What about another year? Like that. Another year? No. And when it learns, and we can't control it, and it starts doing things for itself, I don't think it will go so far as Terminator, but we need to get a handle on it. And the reason it's controversial as of late, as the question states, is because we have no oversight on it. We have no control. And I think the government are working to implement some sort of oversight committee to keep it monitored and keep the tech conglomerates from going crazy with it, which they very well will if there aren't rules and regulations put in place. But then that's a controversial thing to do as well, because we don't, do we really want to put the government in control of another thing, especially AI, telling tech giants what and what they can't do? I haven't got the answers, but that's why it's controversial. It needs to be regulated. AI needs to be regulated. That is the 100% of people should agree. AI needs to be regulated. However, the controversy with that point is who do we put in charge of regulating it? And that's difficult.
I think people are scared for the future, really. People are scared of losing their jobs to AI technology. We've seen it like in now Tesco's and supermarkets, the checkout system. There's like loads of tills out there, but we don't see like anyone working on them anymore. Everyone, you just have to go, oh, you have to go, there's to be one person behind the tills, the checkouts, to say, no, you have to do the self-checkout. And that's basically like AI technology now. And then it'll get worse in the future, but we just have to adapt, I feel. We can work with robots, maybe, AI technology. We just have to learn different skills, be like an engineer, be part of the marketing process. I don't know. I feel like, yeah, people are scared for the future because of losing jobs. That's basically it.
I think there's been some giant leaps in artificial technology and in AI. I think the fact that you can clone someone's face onto something and their voice, and you can make them say whatever you want, and that technology is there now and it can be very convincing. I think that could start wars, that could change the face of the planet. that could, like I was saying about Kim Jong-un in an earlier answer, he could use that technology to say that America is saying whatever. Russia could use that technology to tell their people. And yeah, so I think it's very scary because of that. And then also the fact it could take so many people's jobs, writers, creators, and if you get artificial intelligence that can drive vehicles, HGV drivers, lorry drivers, people who drive for a living, there's millions of jobs that could be at stake within the next 10, 15 years.
Probably because all of the guys that make AI went to the US government and said that we should stop doing it for a bit. If the guys who make it are worried, then I'm worried too.
See, I grew up in a time in technology where sort of films were sort of very influential into how technology was moving at the time. One of my favourite films growing up was Terminator, and the idea that we could make this machine out of, you know, sort of just metal, but also the ability to program a machine with a learning system that can sort of harness human interaction. The way that technology is moving forward now, and the things that sort of are being created and the things that I've played around with, sets a very scary precedent in the sense that it comes across quite innocent at first and quite useful, but being able to sort of manipulate that technology and that sort of AI to do something that is damaging to society or to a person is quite real. And I think as we are heading into a time where now technology and sort of computer software and things like that can actually program itself, could potentially open up a door where the AI doesn't realize it's doing it, but the right person with the right prompts could potentially open up that door to using it for a dangerous cause, whether it's weaponry or malicious software and things like that.
People are scared. People are scared of what it's going to do to their jobs. Artists are scared it's going to take over, art, movies, music, all of that. And some people are scared it's going to take over the world. So,
artificial intelligence has been controversial of late because nowadays, like, you might be able to pass an essay by just telling ChatGPT to write it for you, and so that's why it's been in the news more. But people seem to be not realizing that it's basically just like a predictive text thing, and that if anything, they may be overstating the case for it. Also, now you can get really realistic photos. I'm on a Facebook group and you can see all sorts of horrible stuff, like, like a food made of like or something, and it's like looking photorealistic. That's why it's in the news. But I think it's largely inconsequential, most of the developments at the moment, or at least the consequences are more nuanced than the sort of things which, like, the scare stories you're hearing in the media. That's my opinion.
Well, I know it's late. It's people worried about taking writing jobs and art jobs and music jobs from people, because AI seems to be able to do those things pretty well, and will only get better in the future.
I think because what it can do is unknown, and people are scared of unknown. Also, as well, we've got to look at what's morally correct. At the moment, if you're on like some social media, you can have like singers like Freddie Mercury is dead singing modern day songs, and it sounds exactly like him. So, I had an idea off the back of this, where it's like, if you've got a dead relative and you've got videos of that dead relative, what if you put that data into artificial intelligence and merge that with virtual reality, and you could then talk to your dead relatives? So what's morally correct?
Because some people are like very skeptical of it from like what they've seen in movies and stuff, and like technology's gone so far, so I think they just might be a bit worried about it.
Because it's so new and it's scary. So you can see all these potential wonderful benefits, but at the same time you think, oh gosh, what can we trust anymore? It's like that guy who gives people advice about money. He just tweeted the other day that careful, because there's some video of him with his face, with his voice, giving completely false information, encouraging people to log on and put all their money somewhere that, you know, he never said. So it's quite scary. You're just not sure what you can trust anymore. But maybe we'll start to trust what we actually see and hear rather than going off what we see online. Maybe it's a good thing.
Just of all the movies, all the media saying that they will take over the world one day, and it's a big scare. But I think that's the main reason.
Well, I think there is the future fear of like Terminator stuff happening. I think that is also that is like an inherent fear, but more recently as well with like the writers' strikes and like it taking over like creativity. I think that's a point where it's getting where people are getting contentious, because for such a long time with AI, people were like, oh, if it takes it might be able to take like our jobs in terms of working, but it won't be able to take our creativity, and now it feels like it is. So I think that's a big part of it.
I think because technology is moving like so fast, and it only has been moving this fast in the past like 20 so years, so like it's sort of very scary and like unknown for people.
I think humans were terrified of the monster that we've made. We've created something, and it's grown and it's grown, and we're scared of it. It's much the same as if a person has an unruly child. You create something and think, oh my gosh, what have I created? And I think we've done that with AI. I mean, my husband works with AI, and he was telling me this morning about how we teach it and how we make it learn. And it is terrifying that it can keep learning far beyond our human capabilities. So yeah, I think it's warranted.
I think because there's no regulation around it, so it's just endless. I feel like once there's regulation put in, you know, it can be good, but I think right now it's just been taken too far.
I think people generally nowadays don't really want to work in most jobs, and the fact that something's coming along that's threatening that has kind of caused an upset. For me, I'm an artist personally, so the rise of kind of art AI has really been a disturbance. It doesn't settle with me. I'm very old-fashioned. Pen and paper. So there's digital art. I've accepted that, but now AI art is kind of, it's taken the soul out of it a bit, and it's hard to distinguish between certain pieces now with getting so advanced, and takes the magic away.
I feel like it's taken a lot of jobs, especially with acting and stuff, and especially with all this stuff going on with the strike and them using people's faces and whatnot, and AI and stuff. It's a bit crazy. Yeah, it's taken a lot of people's jobs, and it's had a negative effect.
I've used it. ChatGPT. I'm a teacher, plus I work for the police as well. So we've come across it quite a few times. So for me, it's probably going as too fast. And then again, it's like saying it's too fast, but then it depends on how it's used. If it's used in a positive way, it's fine. But I think it's a sort of subject now where, especially in universities and coming in the next few years, they're wondering whether things like ChatGPT is that genuine? Is it not genuine? It's going to be a bit of a minefield in the next couple of years.
Because people don't understand it. Because they think it's going to take over jobs, when actually I think it can be used as a tool to help people in their jobs, but simply people just don't understand it.
I think probably because AI is becoming so powerful and commanding. You see reports in the news and the media now, and some of the stuff that it can do is actually quite scary. And Terminator 2 is a classic film whereby it explores the potential of artificial intelligence actually gaining a superior knowledge and power to that of its human creator. For me, I think that's probably why it's so controversial, because there is that potential for it to go to such an extreme length. It could become very dangerous.
Because we are all very scared of it. We're scared what it's going to do to our lives, and how many people will lose jobs, and how the whole fabric of the world will change.
I think it's come as a bit of a surprise to a lot of people, like how advanced it is, and it's scary. So it's had a negative effect on humans already. Obviously, the strikes in America over AI being used for like extras losing work, or even actors losing work. So yeah, just the negative impact it's currently having on people and scaring them, because it's like obviously the worst it'll ever be. And it's only going to get better, and it's already like affecting people losing work and the whole deep fake of faces, so you don't even know what to trust anymore. It's still getting a bit scary.
It's the Luddite thing, isn't it? The Luddites quite rightly believe that the machines are going to take away their livelihoods. And over the last 200 years, there's been loads of examples of that happening. And so people are just worried it's going to take people's jobs.
What's that, robots? Is it controversial? Oh, and like the Snapchat bot and things like that.
Yes. Yeah.
I don't really know much about that. I guess I'm okay with it. I don't really see why people are against it. Maybe the AI is predicting the future.
I don't know. I don't know why everybody's gone mad. Maybe because more people are using it more and it's becoming more in the media and on Instagram and things like that. So it's not something I personally take a massive interest in.
I'm not sure why, to be honest, because, example, when Siri came out on Apple, nobody used it. But when Amazon started to do Alexa, everybody started to use Alexa for the same reasons. So, but it was just like a few years later. I think it's just depend on the general public, how you dish it to them, and so they understand it a little bit more.
It's sort of put it's stopping people from within their creative jobs. And as an illustrator, I'm scared that it's going to steal my job before I've even got my degree.
I think it's been controversial because it's helped to keep the memories of famous like celebrities like Elvis and alive, and Tom Cruise when he was at a younger age. I've seen him on social media as an artificial intelligence, but I think it's also taken away the jobs of those who are not artificial intelligence. So real life actors, they've been taking away their jobs because of it. I don't fear it at the minute, but I think, say another 10 years, I think I might be slightly a little bit more cautious.
Honestly, because of human nature, I don't think it's that artificial intelligence itself is controversial, but more our application of it and how we will use it. Just from the evidence of how humans have used technology in the past, I think that's what makes it controversial.
I think it's mostly to do with the art more than any other thing. I think the fact that it can just come up with things that people are passionate about creatively kind of throws people off. And not to say that I don't sometimes enjoy artificial intelligence myself. I really enjoy the Glee AI covers that are coming out.
Because it's kind of taking away the individual creativity and outlets of creativity for creatives, and for people that have a craft that isn't necessarily purely technical, and that's quite a scary thought. Yeah.
We've seen the movies. We've seen how it can just take over, or how there's obviously people that are skeptical, especially the older generation. I still have to teach mum how to use an iPhone. So the fact that obviously artificial intelligence is just so beyond some people's ability to even think about it, then it is a scary thought. It's a scary thought that knowing that they could obviously take some jobs and then obviously people would be jobless, or they could malfunction and we could have another Marvel case. We just don't know. So yeah.
I think people think that they're going to be out of jobs. Lots of people don't really understand it, and the media drums up a lot of they just scaremonger really because it sells views and papers. And I just think that if people really looked into it, they'd probably realise that it would help them more than it would be a hindrance.
I think anything that we can't understand terrifies us. I think again it's that control aspect. We want to tell the computer what to do, and we want it to work because then we've done it. Whereas if the computer's telling us what to do, the roles switched. And I think that absolutely terrifies people. But we rely on it so heavily that we have put ourselves in the trap of you're making something better than you that will probably take over one day.
Oh, God, yeah. Deep faking, for sure. God, if I found myself in a at some point, it'd ruin your life, wouldn't it? Imagine being like a public figure and that happens to you. Yeah, that's a big one for me. Yeah. Wasn't me. If it went badly, of course, yeah.
Movies and TVs, because when we, in movies and TVs, when they make artificial intelligence, they it always goes tits up. So basically, I feel like humans have got that built-in fear, and we've kind of been brainwashed into it. And it's also quite a new thing, so we're like cautious.
Fear. Where it could take us, how it could develop. I think everybody knows the story about two AI bots interacting and then developing their own language within a matter of minutes, if not seconds. And that technology scares us, and that fear provokes this controversy and these controversial conversations and opinions.
It's scary. I mean, we've all seen The Terminator. But it's like, I don't want to live in a world where machines make all the poetry, art, and films, and the humans are left with like the boring, mundane jobs.
I would probably say it's probably controversial because it's a hard pill for us to swallow as a society. It kind of makes us obsolete in a way. It takes over our jobs. It's a massive sort of like takeover for us, and eventually there won't be as much need for us in general. So I think that's kind of like a harsh reality.
Because people don't understand it. People think that it has the emotional risk of wanting to harm human beings for a non-logical reason, for a passion-based reason about it being a robot or something like that, and it's just not going to happen. If they're worried about their jobs, that's probably a fair risk.
I mean, for me as a creative person, so I sing, I act. Obviously, a lot of things that I see AI can do like this, it is taking opportunities away from people. But at the same time, I think we have to accept that society is advancing, technology is advancing, and it's something we can either like embrace or get left behind, because it's going to be a thing no matter what.
I think people are worrying whether AI is going to take people's jobs. That's a concern for the future, whether that be in factories, self-service checkouts, whatever. I think down the road, people are going to get so worried about this AI is so lifelike, I can't tell the difference. And I think that's going to scare people when they can't.
So with our phones listening in on us, it's all new experiences, and with robots and everything. So we've only got the technical needs now. Obviously back then there was nothing like that. So
I think people using it to kind of take shortcuts and cheat around things. Like if they can, I mean, don't get me wrong, if they're using it in a way in which can kind of, if they're busy and they're taking it to kind of make an easy shortcut that's good for them to kind of get some ideas, and I've got not a problem with it, but kind of like getting it to do the work for you, you sort of lose your sense of individuality and almost responsibility with it and accountability. So, yeah.
There'd be a number of contexts. The one that, for me, it's controversial is for the student population being able to generate assignments through artificial intelligence rather than their own brain.
Because it's basically everywhere now. It's in computer software, it's on Snapchat, you can literally text it 24/7 and get like smart answers. Literally anyone can use it to do anything.
Because people are worried about taking jobs and taking over what humans do.
Because it's coming up against real stupidity.
I think it's probably like the way it's been used, really. I think like if you use it with good intentions, then like there can be some great things that you can do with it. And it's just, I think where the whole controversial side of it comes in is probably like when if they're doing some jobs better than what we can do and they're replacing us, then yeah, it gets a little bit weird.
So there you have it. A small minority believe we will adapt just like we've adapted to every new technology. However, most people are concerned about artificial intelligence and believe their livelihoods could be at stake shortly. A few even think that it could take over the world. The big question is, how do you feel about AI? Are people overreacting, or do we face a massive problem in the near future?